guys, Kyle the Death Knight of Anime here, bringing you my review for My Hero Academia, chapter 159, and the bulk of this chapter, I think we can pretty much all agree, is pretty much we can kind of say it's pretty much this chapter solidifies pretty much the conclusion to this whole internship arc, and I figured I'd basically dedicate this review to pretty much think of what I think about this arc, because what I've thought about this arc as a whole, because honestly, I'm not gonna lie, there are a lot of ups and downs to this arc, but overall I thought it was entertaining, to say the least. Like, a lot of people have been saying how it's probably like not one of the better, definitely not one of the better arcs Horikoshi has done, and I kind of agree, I guess, in a way, because there have been a lot of iffy things about this arc, but I think the main thing we definitely need to say about, definitely the one thing I definitely will completely to the bitter end defend about this arc is that I think what Horikoshi was trying to do with this arc at the end of the day was he was trying to showcase basically the pretty much the whole backlash of he was trying to showcase the whole backlash of the fight between All Might and All for One, and how their fight and All Might losing his power has basically thrown the whole balance off, and how all these villainous elements are suddenly popping up again. I think that's what Horikoshi was trying to do. Is he was trying to showcase just how much things have changed in the world since basically that big battle. I will admit it wasn't perfect. I will admit it wasn't perfect. The whole execution of it could have definitely been better, and lengthwise, I'm not sure if he could have really even done anything with this arc in order to make it shorter. But yeah, I guess there are certain elements that could definitely have been handled better. So yeah, but look, I'm done giving you guys the synopsis of what I think. Let's get into this, and I want to focus like I said, I want to start by talking about Night Eye, and what he contributed to this arc, because as a whole, I feel that Night Eye has gotten a lot. I've talked to people on Anime Amino about a few people on Anime Amino about this, and they say that they outright hate Night Eye as a character. Just everything he is, they absolutely hate. And here's just in pretty much how cold and unsupportive he's been of Izuku from the very beginning of the arc. And here's the thing, that's kind of the fucking point, because for me, if it's one of those things where if everyone got behind and supported Izuku from the very get-go as the next symbol of peace, then I think things would become stale and maybe a little unrealistic, because you definitely do need a little bit of that internal conflict like this to prove that there are, in terms of the whole journey of Izuku getting to be the world's greatest hero, you definitely kind of need a little bit of internal conflict like that in order to keep interest up, because it goes to show that there won't be. It goes to show that in terms of proving, I think that what Night Eye represents in a way is the whole thing of proving that not everyone is going to be swayed by words. A lot of them are going to be more swayed by actions, and going from the old Anners, that actions do prove louder than words. In this case, all of Izuku's actions in this arc, it culminated in pretty much in Night Eye finally accepting that yes, All Might, he did make the right choice in choosing Izuku. It started off with him not even caring about Izuku being the next symbol of peace. It was for Night Eye, it was all about Mirio. But as the arc progressed, we slowly started to see that even when he was talking to, we started to see that slowly but surely he had started to kind of change his tune. And even from talking from I think it was Gran Torino, we even see small bit of that change, or maybe something that was always there, of how he definitely did see potential in Izuku. He just wasn't willing to openly admit it until this point because he always had the faith more in Mirio. But yeah. Also, in Night Eye's case, like whether executed right or not, his jaded and you can't really blame him all that much for his jaded and cold outlook because in here it works because he had become so dependent on his own power to see the future that he thought there was absolutely nothing or no one in the world that could rewrite the history, all of the history that he had foreseen. Because with like honestly, when you really think about it, his quirk, like Night Eye's quirk, is really fucked up because Night Eye, the way it was described, Night Eye can see the future and he can change certain events in it, but he can't change the over. He's in a way, he, he has this a very powerful quirk, but he's powerless in terms of what he can do in terms of stopping it. Night Eye's quirk is like one of those double-edged swords where it's like, yeah, he can see the future, but it's one of those things where it's affected him to the point where he's almost let it dictate his life, and that he's accepted the fact that nothing he does or will ever do will change that. And in his own, I think it's strange because he has this amazing power, and yet he's powerless, and yet he's powerless to really, in order to really change any of the futures he's foreseen. So yeah, it's really, and I bet that especially affected him when he ran through all these scenarios of how he could possibly rewrite the death of All Might, and that was probably like the nail in the coffin for him, that it said, no, I've accepted that fate and history in my predictions is something that cannot be changed. And but then along comes Izuku, who basically rewrote everything. He basically wrote everything, and I think this section kind of in a way goes back to basically that one chapter where we see Izuku, where we see All Might, or no, where we see Night Eye basically saying that he predicts that both he and Izuku will die, and then it cuts to that black screen. I think it's more than likely at this point that yes, that whole completely black page. I think it did. I think this goes to prove that black page did, that whole black nothingness page or whatever. It does prove that yes, that Izuku's future is almost impossible to predict. I think that's what that one panel or page was trying to convey, is that the whole blackness. It wasn't Night Eye predicting their deaths. It was him predicting that Izuku's future is impossible to predict. So yeah. Now, so yeah. Oh, I just thought I'd get that out of the. I know I spent a lot of time on that one, but yeah, I just really wanted to get that one out of the way because I feel there has been a little too much hate on Night Eye as of late. But yeah, but having said that, moving on to something else that has been a constant bit of a thing throughout this arc is Aries quirk. And now, as we see in this chapter, Aries quirk runs rampant, leaving Aizawa to stop it, which I guess is sort of a Deus Ex Machina, so to speak, but it works. But yeah, getting back onto the problems that people have had with Aries quirk in general, though, it's like I said, it's something of a hot topic among the fandom, particularly saying it's fairy tale levels of bullshit. It's fairy tale levels of bad. And while I agree it is OP, it's hardly on the level of fairy tale, because it's hardly on that level because fairy tale just did whatever Hiro Mashima just did whatever the fuck he wanted with Hiro Mashima with Hiro Mashima just did whatever the fuck he wanted with Fairy Tail, not even gonna fuck about what he wanted to do. But like to the point where Fairy Tail became its own special little anomaly of bad. Like there's nothing that is like it's a special Fairy Tail in as a whole is a special anomaly of bad that's very hard to top. So nothing, not even Aries quirk is bad enough to say that it's Fairy Tail level bad, because with Aries quirk I can kind of get a bit of, unlike something that's in Fairy Tail, I can kind of get a bit of a grasp on what Horikoshi was trying to do with it. I can't say he succeeded, but I can definitely feel a grasp of what he was trying to do. And in the case of slightly defending Aries' quirk, I think what Horikoshi was trying to do was kind of pull reverse logic on Aries' quirk by saying that it being so overpowered technically is its weakness, while the strength of it is how it can be used when you end up focused, when you end up with the right amount of focus in order to use it. It can actually do great things. So yeah, it's one of those things where the fact that it is so overpowered that does definitely make it a broken ability. I will admit that. It's basically all about the mind and focus on how Eri uses it. I think is its greatest strength in a way. So I will admit it probably could have. I will admit it could have been the execution of Ares quirk could have definitely been done a lot better. But yeah, I think that is what Horikoshi was trying to do. And but yeah, also now the League of Villains, because like I said, this was pretty much the end of the arc, and we see the League of Villains we're basically trailing the police and in an attempt to capture Overhaul, pretty much. And what the question probably is, what are they going to do with Overhaul? Because I've honestly, the first thing that pops in my head right now is that they're planning to capture Overhaul and strip him of his quirk, and feed it to the brain, and feed it to that brain in that liquid. Like for those who don't know what I'm talking about, back in the Hero Killer arc, or Field Training arc, whatever you want to call it. Like the arc was stained, definitely. When All for One is has his first big reveal with all the scarring and whatnot, we end up seeing a brain in like some kind of liquid. So if I had to guess, I think that, believe it or not, I think the League of Villains' actions right now has already kind of given me a bit of a bigger picture of what that brain is, which is that I think what they are planning to do is they're planning to strip him, they're planning to capture him, strip him of that quirk, and strip him of his quirk, and end up feeding the quirk to the brain. Now, having said that, it does make me curious what the inevitable end game of that brain is. Like is if I had to, I mean, the only thing that makes sense to me right now is that is that inevitably once the League of Villains has gathered up enough quirks in that brain, then they're probably gonna then I imagine Shigaraki is gonna end up in doing some kind of surgery where he switches his brain with that one, and then he'll end up with the power of all these quirks in the same way that All for One had it. Not in the same process, but definitely in a similar manner. So yeah, that's basically what I think, but I could be wrong. I don't know. Like I said, the whole thing with that brain right now, that's my biggest theory right now is what they're doing is they're gathering all these quirks, and they're gonna use the brain for something or other. They're gonna use the brain in order for Shigaraki to become the next All for One, pretty much. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much my review. What do you think about this chapter? Did you enjoy it? Because it was, like I said, but yeah, as a whole, I would say this arc, it wasn't the best executed, but it definitely I think is kind of going to be that underdog arc. Like it's not going to be perfect. It's always in the eyes of people like us. I don't think it's ever going to be perfect, but I think it will eventually get to the point where people will look back on it and say, okay, you know what, it's got some problems, but it's not that bad. Now, having said that, the biggest worry right now with this arc is pretty much the anime. Like, I am, like, Bones, I think, has said in the past they are planning to adapt. They are committed to adapting all of My Hero Academia, which is a good thing, but it makes me wonder how they plan to adapt this arc, because it is a very long arc. So, yeah, I wonder I wonder how they're gonna do that, if they're just gonna devote an entire season to it, or what's gonna happen there. But yeah, guys, like I said, that's my review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe, or follow me on Twitter and Facebook. Death Knight Anime, signing off. Later, people.